Country music star John Rich performed at the outdoor festival just a short while before the gunman opened fire. He joins us now from Los Angeles. John, thank you so much for being with us tonight and sharing, which must have been just a horrific evening, and to have experienced that and just the loss of life. If you can tell our viewers where you were when this massacre started.
Well, you know, we played about 90 minutes to 2 hours before Jason Aldean. And so we had actually loaded up our bus, and there's a little country bar that I have in Las Vegas that I own, and we went over there as Big and Rich and Cowboy Troy to play a little after-show set. So we were over there on stage there and got the tap on the shoulder that there was an active shooter. What they told us is they thought there were multiple active shooters and didn't know where they were. And so we immediately stopped playing and got everybody away from the windows and tried to secure the location. I made a phone call back to a friend of mine who plays with Jason Aldean and couldn't believe he actually answered the phone, but he did. Said they had just thrown him and a bunch of the guys into pickup trucks and were, you know, burning rubber out of the parking lot trying to get them out of there, and that the bullets were literally flying through the tour buses, through the instruments on stage, through the rigging. He said he looked up in the back of the pickup and all he saw was bodies everywhere. It's unbelievable.
How much time passed? Because you bring up such an important point. There was a lot of confusion with the hysteria and so much gunfire going on, where people were calling in, you know, shots fired at a number of different locations. How long was it till you were able to identify and you found out that in fact it was just at the Mandalay Bay where you had been?
It was probably 2 o'clock in the morning, Vegas time, when we got word that they had neutralized the shooter and that they didn't think there were any more. But I can tell you, like my partner, Big Kenny, he stepped off our tour bus as a SWAT team was coming straight down the street, rifles aimed right at him. He throws his hands up and says, "Hey guys, it's me." And they said, "Get back on the bus." I mean, I got to say, LAPD and all the first responders activated instantaneously on this deal. I mean, I watched it happen in real time. It was nothing short of impressive watching them move through that town like that.
Okay, and we're going to take it around the table again. Thank you for being with us, and Greg has a question.
Hey, John, when you were in that bar, were there any law enforcement people there with you? And when you heard the news, did you guys do anything? Because you're close to where things are happening.
Yeah. Yeah, so in the bar that I have, we have a big emphasis on veterans and active duty. I have a lot of police officers that come and hang out there. And so I actually had it was a Minneapolis police officer off duty was in my bar hanging out, and he came up to me and he showed me his badge, and he says, "I'm officer," I forget his last name, but I'm an officer and I am not armed for the first time ever. I can't believe it. Are you armed? I said, "Yes, sir, I am armed. I have my concealed weapons permit." And I said, "Yes, I am armed." He goes, "Can I have your firearm so I can hold point on this front door?" And so I handed over my firearm to him. Everybody got behind him, and for about 2 hours, without flinching, this guy kept a point on that front door just in case somebody came through.
Wow.
Wow, what an incredible story, Dan.
That is a really amazing story. John, I wanted to ask you about the fact that these festivals have become so popular, especially for country music. I know they're not the only ones that do it, but that country music singers, to me, are some of the most accessible to their fans. You personally put yourselves out there. You feel very close to them. And I wondered if you would talk to Jason Aldean or any of the other performers about how they're feeling tonight and that personal heartbreak that they feel about what's happened.
Well, you're exactly right. You know, country music is really a unique genre, I think, because of the relationship between the singers and the fans. You know, we hang out with them, we talk to them, we'll go have fun with them. Our concerts are very interactive with our fans. I mean, I'm a country music fan, so I'm a fan of other singers, and we all, it's like a big family out there. There was one guy that I'm good friends with named DJ Silver. If you go look him up, he's a great guy. And he plays with Jason Aldean. Man, this guy tells me that his 6-month-old son, who I met before the show and got a picture with, his 6-month-old son and the nanny who was watching him were in the room next door to the shooter on the 32nd floor, literally in the room next door. And he went for about 3 or 4 hours and didn't know where his son was. I mean, it just, you look out and you see these country music fans, let me tell you something. These people were coming to this show from Southern California, from Arizona, Nevada. They were from all over the place.
Canada?
Yeah, Canada too. During the Big and Rich show, every show we bring up veterans and active duty on stage. And at one point, we had all 22,000 people at that show with their iPhones up in the air and the bright light on facing the stage, singing in unison, God Bless America.
Wow.
In unison. And I look at that and I go, there's no race in that, there's no politics in that, there's no religion in that. That's just America with one voice, all singing a song about our country, celebrating the fact that we have the freedom to have these big outdoor music festivals and live our lives. That was literally going on about 2 hours before this shooting started.
Okay, Jesse?
Hey, John, after you were on the main stage and then you left to go to your bar to perform for some of your fans, everything went down at that point. You must have had people there in the bar that still knew people who were at the main event. How were they reacting knowing it was going down? I mean, that must have just been heartbreaking to watch and to experience.
You're exactly right, because all the people that had come over to our bar to watch us play had just come from the concert. I remember this one lady in particular, she's Canadian, and she was just, I mean, uncontrollably weeping in the room because she could not contact her friends back at the show, and her husband came over to me and said, John, would you mind coming over and talking to my wife and trying to calm her down? And so I said, absolutely. So I'm over there with my arm around this Canadian lady, you know, trying to calm her down and get the situation to try to be as calm as possible. But let me tell you, that is a stretch to try to be calm in that situation.
Okay. Juan.
Hi, John. So what struck me was the fan experience, because what we are hearing today is that people thought, oh my gosh, it's just firecrackers or some kind of noise that's part of the show. And they were slow to understand. I think Jason Aldean had been on stage about 20 minutes, it said, before this occurred. Had there been fireworks, had there been any kind of show that would have had noise that might have confused the people who were there?
No, Juan, there hadn't been anything like that, but these shows are huge. I mean, they are really loud, really bright. There's a lot going on, and when you hear that rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat, you kind of see everybody pause for a minute and go, what am I hearing? Because, you could think maybe it is part of the show. Maybe it's pyrotechnics or something that's going on. But I think, when you hear that level of gunfire, that's a fully automatic weapon going off somewhere. And it's not surprising it took people a minute, because you're talking about a really, really big, powerful show going on at that point.
And do you think that it was easy to get out?
It was a pretty wide open space. I mean, it's this major open lot out there, and it's pretty easy. Yeah, I'd say easy to get out more than other places that we play. It would be easier than, say, perhaps a stadium, like a football stadium or something, because it was outdoors and pretty wide open, thank goodness. But, I mean, that is so many people crammed into one place that, like I said, it's virtually impossible to stay calm in that situation.
John, in the time we have remaining, I just want to point out that we talked about country music fans, but also country music, you do a ton for all sorts of people. I know you're planning for a big benefit that's to take place next month so that you can help hurricane victims. You're always doing things for veterans, for law enforcement, for people from all over, and so hopefully you guys can all feel the love from all of us back to you as well.
Absolutely, and I can tell you this, these guys do stuff like this to try to keep the rest of us from doing what we want to do with our lives, and that's not going to happen. And I would expect a really strong response out of all of country music as to what happened last night. You got to pray for these folks too. People say our thoughts and prayers. You actually need to pray. You actually need to speak to the Lord and say, please bring some comfort to these people, because this is beyond the pale what has happened.
All right, and thank you for your time tonight. We certainly appreciate it.